Imagine paying $12 million for an engine that will most likely explode before the season even ends. Your lead driver demands $55 million per year. Every weekend you risk losing a car that costs as much as a mansion in Monaco. That feels like buying a $12 million lottery ticket and praying it does not catch fire on the way to the cashier. And somehow, you are still making a profit. It sounds insane, but this is simply the business of Formula One. Back in the early days, it was nothing more than wealthy aristocrats racing homemade machines. Today, it is a $20 billion empire, with an army of fans willing to wake up at 5 in the morning for a live broadcast and spend thousands of dollars on tickets just to watch 20 cars blast by at 200 miles per hour. How did they do it? How did they turn an elite hobby for the privileged few into one of the most profitable sports franchises on the planet? And more importantly, who made the most money from it? In 1950, post-war Europe was rebuilding itself from the ruins, and a handful of enthusiasts decided to organize the very first official Formula One championship. No one could have imagined what it would become. The early years of F1 were the story of fearless drivers who tuned their own cars, raced without helmets or gloves, and risked their lives on every corner. There were no million-dollar contracts, only a love for speed and adrenaline. It was a time when you paid for the privilege of dying spectacularly, not for the chance to appear on the Forbes list. Have you ever wondered how much drivers earned back then? Practically nothing. Many even paid the team for the chance to sit behind the wheel. And today, even midfield drivers earn more than the President of the United States. But the real financial revolution began in the late 70s, when Bernie Ecclestone entered the stage, the man who turned Formula One into a money-printing machine. A small British businessman with enormous ambitions, he first bought the Brabham team and later became the head of the Formula One Constructors Association, also known as FOCA. Bernie understood something crucial before anyone else. Racing is not just a sport, it is entertainment, and entertainment can be sold. He made a brilliant move by centralizing all television rights and selling them as one unified package. From that moment on, Bernie was the one running the show. To convince the teams to support him, he created a revenue-sharing system so everyone could get a piece of the pie. That decision marked the beginning of Formula One's golden era as a business. Ecclestone took a chaotic group of speed enthusiasts and turned it into a structured corporate empire. And if you want proof of how brilliant he was, in 1999 he sold 75% of his Formula One rights for $1.3 billion, yet still remained the executive director with full operational control. He literally got the money and kept the power. That is like selling your house, continuing to live in it, and charging your neighbor's rent at the same time. By the way, did you know Bernie Ecclestone ran Formula One for 40 years? What do you think about the impact one man had on the growth of such a gigantic business? Let me know in the comments. Today, Formula One generates billions. In 2024, revenue hit a record $3.65 billion, 25% more than the year before. But where does this money come from? The first source is media rights, about 33% of all revenue. Broadcasters around the world pay enormous sums for the right to show the races. For example, ESPN pays around $90 million per year in the United States. On top of that, there is F1 TV, the sport's own streaming service, which brings in millions more. The second source is the race promoters, the organizers who pay $20 to $60 million to host a Grand Prix. Saudi Arabia alone pays around $55 million per race. This accounts for another 29% of revenue. Third is sponsorship. Huge brands like Rolex, Heineken, and DHL pay tens of millions just to have their logos appear during the broadcast. In 2025, the luxury conglomerate LVMH signed a 10-year deal worth over $1 billion. That is $100 million every year for the status of a global partner. And finally, VIP hospitality and merchandise bring in another 19% of all income. The Elite Paddock Club, where a weekend pass starts at $5,000, generates hundreds of millions each year. In modern Formula One, everything is monetized, from trackside billboards to the hat on a fan's head. What many people do not know is that today's F1 business model was largely built on tobacco money. Tobacco companies were the first truly massive sponsors in the sport. It began in 1968, when Lotus arrived at the Monaco Grand Prix in a new red and gold livery with Imperial Tobacco logos. For the first time, an entire car became a moving advertisement. The sponsorship deal was worth €85,000, equivalent to roughly $1.5 million today, and it was revolutionary. By the 80s, tobacco giants dominated Formula One sponsorship. Marlboro worked with McLaren and Ferrari. Camel worked with Williams and Lotus. Rothmans partnered with Williams, while Benson and Hedges worked with Jordan. At the peak of the tobacco era, deals reached $100 million per year. Why did tobacco companies love Formula One so much? Because it was the perfect communication channel. Glamour, speed, and danger. Everything that fit their marketing strategy. But in the early 2000s, global anti-tobacco regulations hit hard. By 2007, direct cigarette advertising was banned at most Grand Prix, and teams lost up to 40% of their budgets. Some tobacco companies found creative loopholes. Ferrari replaced the Marlboro logo with a mysterious barcode, and later with a white geometric rectangle that still subconsciously reminded viewers of a cigarette pack. If you want to learn more, check out my video about Marlboro, how the brand conquered the world and got an entire planet addicted to a deadly habit. Back then, cigarette sponsorships were stronger than today's automotive manufacturers. Today, they have been replaced by tech giants, crypto exchanges, and luxury brands. But it was tobacco money that set the foundation for modern Formula One. Now let us talk about why countries fight so fiercely for the right to host a Grand Prix. Earlier, I mentioned that Saudi Arabia pays $55 million per race. But why? What do they gain? Because a Grand Prix is not just a race. It is an economic booster. Look at the Singapore Grand Prix. The night race in the heart of the city brings around $100 million per year just from tourism. Hotels are full, restaurants are packed, and tickets sell out a month in advance. Or take the Las Vegas Grand Prix, launched in 2023. Liberty Media, the owners of F1, invested over $500 million into infrastructure and organization. And even with those enormous expenses, the race was profitable in the very first year. Formula One is a sport where a single event can earn more money than an entire country makes from tourism. The fascinating part is that Liberty Media, through their Formula One Group division, acted as the organizer of the Las Vegas Grand Prix themselves. That allowed them to collect not just the usual promoter fee, but also ticket sales and sponsorship revenue, a brilliant strategy that brought in an extra couple $100 million. Formula One is not just a sport. It is a full-scale technological arms race. Teams spend tens of millions of dollars developing parts that may give them an advantage of only a few hundredths of a second per lap. Take the latest rear wing as an example. This single element costs around $150,000, but teams can spend up to $2 million just to develop it, and a car contains hundreds of such components. Each one requires design work, wind tunnel testing, simulations, prototype production, and a final version. By the way, the wind tunnel is the holy grail of Formula One development. 1 hour of running this facility costs around $50,000, and top teams used to push the limits by running as much as 80 hours per week. That means nearly $4 million every single week just for aerodynamic testing. And yes, this endless arms race is exactly what forced the introduction of the cost cap. Without it, major manufacturers could spend hundreds of millions of dollars on technologies used for only a few races before they were banned or copied. The cost cap finally brought the giants back down to earth and restored some balance. The year 2017 became a turning point in Formula One history. The American company Liberty Media purchased a controlling stake in the Formula One Group for $4.4 billion. With debt included, the total value of the deal reached $8 billion. Bernie Ecclestone, who ruled the Formula One empire for 40 years, was removed from the CEO position and given an honorary but powerless title of Chairman Emeritus. The new boss was Chase Carey, an American media executive with a grand mustache and a fresh vision for the sport. His mission was clear: to transform Formula One from an elite European pastime into global entertainment for a mass audience. Liberty Media immediately began changing the business model. While Ecclestone focused on VIP clients and television rights, the new owners prioritized digital platforms, social media, and younger audiences. One of their first steps was lifting the social media ban in the paddock. Under Bernie, teams and drivers could not post videos or photos from behind the scenes. Now social media became a central marketing tool. The real breakthrough was the launch of the Netflix documentary series Drive to Survive in 2019. This behind-the-scenes look at Formula One created an explosion of interest, especially in the United States, where the sport had historically struggled. The results came quickly. In 2018, the average American TV audience was 547,000 viewers per race. By 2021, that number had grown to 934,000. And in 2022, it exceeded 1.2 million. Drive to Survive not only brought in new viewers, it changed the demographic. Among the new fans, 46% are women, and 31% are young adults between 18 and 29. Today, every fifth Formula One fan says they became interested in the sport because of Netflix. And from a business standpoint, This new audience is extremely valuable. 69% of new American fans earn over $100,000 per year, making them a perfect target for premium sponsors. By the way, did you watch the series? Or were you already a Formula One fan before it? Tell me in the comments. Now, let us break down who actually makes money in this gigantic money-printing machine. But first, a quick note on international payments. If you need to transfer money abroad without proving your existence to a bank or paying extra to middlemen, and if you only need a card a couple of times a year for travel or a few foreign subscriptions, there is a simpler and more profitable solution, a virtual MaxFab card. You can set it up directly in Telegram. You just create a crypto wallet, top it up with cryptocurrency, and use the card to spend those funds like regular money. You can pay in international online stores and for subscriptions. All card management is handled through a Telegram bot. There are no extra apps or complicated interfaces. You can even add the card to Apple Pay, and the price of issuing the card is much lower than similar options. If you enter the promo code PROFIT during registration, you will get 50% of the card cost refunded to your balance. Use the link in the description or the QR code and set up a convenient card that works worldwide. Now let us climb to the top of the pyramid, where the star drivers live. Max Verstappen, the three-time world champion, earns around $50 million per year from Red Bull. Lewis Hamilton, a seven-time champion, has a similar contract with Mercedes, and that is only their base salary. Drivers also receive bonuses for wins, podiums, and championship titles. Plus, they have personal sponsorship deals that can double their income. Here is an interesting fact. Drivers actually have to pay enormous fees just to compete. The basic registration fee is around $11,000, plus $2,230 for each point scored in the previous season. Verstappen paid more than $1 million just for the right to start the 2023 season. But the real money goes to the owners of commercial rights, Liberty Media. Since acquiring Formula One in 2017, their stock value has climbed more than 60%. In 2024, Formula One Group generated an operating profit of $492 million on revenue of $3.65 billion. The adjusted operating profit margin was around 22%. And what is important, Formula One requires minimal capital expenditures, only about 2% of revenue. That means most of the money flows directly back into shareholder value. So what lies ahead for Formula One? Liberty Media has made its priorities clear. Further expansion in the United States, attracting new manufacturers, and growing digital platforms. The 2025 calendar features 24 races across 5 continents, the highest number in history. 3 of those races take place in the United States, in Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas. In 2026, Audi will join the championship after purchasing the Sauber team. Other manufacturers may follow. Cadillac, owned by General Motors, has already announced its plans for 2026. The same year also brings new power units with a greater electrical component and 100% sustainable fuel. This shift is not only a technological challenge, but also a business decision to align Formula One with the global trend toward decarbonization. The updated regulations also aim to reduce the performance gap between teams and make the races more competitive. Because ultimately, the main product Formula One sells is entertainment, and it must be exciting. But not everything in Formula One's future looks smooth. There are serious challenges. First, the domination of a single team. Right now, it is Red Bull, and before that, it was Mercedes. When one team wins everything, fans start to lose interest. Second, the balance between sport and show. Formula One is becoming more like an entertainment product, which upsets traditional fans. Third, the cost of entry for new teams. Even with the cost cap, creating a competitive team requires investments in the hundreds of millions. And fourth, the environmental footprint. Despite innovations in clean fuel, the global travel schedule creates a massive carbon footprint. From small European circuits to night races in Singapore and Las Vegas, from wealthy hobbyists to a multi-billion-dollar industry, Formula One has come an incredibly long way in 75 years. It has evolved from a sport into a global brand, from racing into a high-tech spectacle, from a European pastime into a worldwide phenomenon. The secret of Formula One's success as a business is its perfect blend of exclusivity and mass appeal, technology and emotion, tradition and innovation. The sport continues to evolve and adapt to modern times while preserving its DNA, speed, prestige, and glamour. And as long as people are willing to pay for all of that, a $20 billion business will only keep growing. What do you think about the future of Formula One? Will it become even more commercial or return to its sporting roots? Share your thoughts in the comments. And do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.